evening to you and a very happy Tuesday. Had to think about what day of the week it was there for a second. Well, it's that time of year where typically if we get any sort of precip this time of year, it would come in the form of snow. But with these warmer temperatures, a lot of us could be seeing some rain, maybe some folks a bit of snow, but for the most of us, rain is on the way, right, Joe?
Yeah, and I know that feeling. Days sometimes they just blend together. I get
really
it.
do.
It's Tuesday, you're right. We are looking at, yeah, it's interesting, just rain pretty much. And not, a few drops here and there. We're going to get a pretty good soaking rain tonight through tomorrow morning especially. And there are a couple spots way up in the UP if you're tuned in up there where some snow may mix in too. So we'll talk about that and then look ahead toward the weekend and have that full forecast coming up a little later.
All right, thanks so much, Joe. We'll check back in with you after our first commercial break. But let's start off with our top story of the night. Communities across Michigan are getting millions of dollars in opioid settlement funds. And according to county admin, Grand Traverse County has received 1.6 million of those funds, but less than 40,000 of that 1.6 million has been distributed after 2 years. And another $67,000 has been used to pay a consultant. So our Allie Baxter has been working to find out why this process of distributing the money is taking so long.
How do you feel about where things stand right now?
I'm a little more hopeful than I have been in the past almost year now since the task force ended.
Grand Traverse County Commissioner Lauren Flynn represented the board on the county's opioid epidemic task force, a group of local experts who met for nearly a year to narrow down where the county's opioid settlement dollars should go.
I'm overall extremely frustrated. This should have been a process well along the way where the dollars were already out in our community to help those being affected.
The task force was dissolved in July 2024 after their presentation at a county board meeting didn't go as planned.
We did not have the facilitator nor the strategic plan that we had felt that we finalized presented or in the packet. So it didn't pass at all. I left that meeting extremely frustrated. It was a meeting where I left the most angry, to be honest with you. But I'm more disappointed at since that July meeting, even coming into a new whole board that's still taking us till March to get it presented once again.
The conversation is coming back up because commissioners created an ad hoc in January with county admin to figure out what they say is a more fair process for allocating funds rather than a case-by-case approach.
There are a lot of information in other counties and other states that have already been using this dollars. So it's not like we're rewriting history here or reinventing the wheel.
Corey Winfield at 217 Recovery, an organization supporting those experiencing substance abuse, says while it would be nice to have the money already distributed, he also appreciates commissioners taking a step back.
As long as they can make something fair to everybody to go, hey, put your ideas in, because we have tons of ideas and tons of ways that we would want to help people, and that money could really do it.
The hope now is once a distribution process is in place, those opioid dollars can quickly be distributed.
I just want everyone to know that we are worried, and this is a opportunity that we can't fumble.
And to dive a little deeper into this story, let's bring in Allie Baxter live now from our content center. So Allie, sounds like it's been quite the process. Would you say that, are we back to square one?
It definitely seems like it, right? And I think I used that exact verbiage with Lauren when I spoke to her today, is that, doesn't it feel like we're just going back to square one here? Or the phrase that we kept saying was, the cart was put before the horse, because it seemed like the county had kind of geared up. They said, okay, we're going to allocate this money for a consultant. We're going to set up a task force. We're going to have them make these recommendations. But then at the end of the day, now we're realizing we don't have a maybe proper or fair process. And now we don't want to have the task force anymore.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Do we know what the recommendations were that the task force came up with?
Yeah, they came up with a few recommendations, and then even you saw in that video, not at the county meeting, but at one of the meetings that I actually got to go to where the opioid epidemic task force met. They were actually in that meeting discussing, hey, we know exactly what we want to give this towards. We just don't know how much we want to give each entity requesting stuff. So they had done surveys to figure out, what are other stakeholders' interests? What's the community's interest in this? And overall, the only reason why 40,000 has been distributed already, and it was something with the courts, being able to coordinate something with the courts. But some bigger things like the quick response team that the city has. That was something that the county had wanted as well, and potentially some of the opioid dollars could have helped with that, but that was something that county commissioners had turned down and said they weren't interested in.
So let's go into a little more detail about that county commission meeting when the task force took their recommendations to the county commission. You kind of touched on this on your story, but ultimately, why did the recommendations get turned down?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it was more so they said there was complications with what they presented. I actually didn't know this because I wasn't the reporter that was there that day, but Lauren told me today we didn't have our facilitator there, we didn't have our consultant there. There were certain things in the packet that wasn't what we had determined that we wanted to present at all during some of our meetings. So it seems like things kind of were a perfect storm. They didn't come together the way that the task force wanted them to. And it seems like there was, you know, kind of no blame put on the county board when they said, hey, maybe this isn't something that we can move forward with right now, or we need to take a step back and look at this approval process again and see if maybe there's a different way, maybe a more fair way that we need to do this.
And is that kind of where things stand today?
Yeah, where things stand today is that you heard Commissioner Flynn say this, that she's a little bit frustrated that even with a new county commission board for a minute now, that things are taking this long up until March to even like talk about this again. She said right now that they have an ad hoc. It's Commissioner Nelson, Walter, and herself. They are meeting with county administrators to see, you know, what is the process that we should have moving forward. And now the hope is that as soon as there is a defined process, and not just for these opioid dollars, but also for the marijuana money as well. That's another thing that they're talking about, having a process for. She says that, okay, well, as soon as we get this process going, we're going to move quickly on this, right? Because we need to get these dollars out into our community.
But like we heard in your story, I know there is an urgency to get this money out in the community, but we heard someone that you spoke to today say that, you know, he was actually happy that the commission was taking a step back to really make sure this money is being put to good use.
Yeah, and Corey, and to clarify, Corey is not one of those members on the task force, but he is a provider out in the community that works with people who are experiencing substance abuses. And he said that, you know, like at the time, he's like, I see both sides. Would it be nice to have that money? Could it have come my way eventually? Maybe. But right now, like, maybe it would be a more fair process if at least, you know, we see a lot of times in these different municipal meetings, Maya, they want requests for proposals, they want RFPs. And he said, hey, maybe that would kind of level the playing field instead of seeking feedback from people who, you know, their opinion is, I think you should use money here or there. Why can't we as providers, as organizers, organizations, why can't we submit requests for proposals and tell you exactly what we need?
Right. And we heard also in your story the commissioners say that other communities have already distributed their funds. Do you know, is Grand Traverse County, are they looking towards other communities to see how they are distributing their funds and maybe taking notes on that?
I think so. I think Commissioner Flynn definitely alluded to that when she said, hey, you know, we're not trying to rewrite history or reinvent the wheel here. We know that communities, not just across Michigan, but across the country, have already figured out what they want to do with this opioid money. And she's like, I understand we are taking a closer look at our process for it, but at the same time, you know, we have other guidance when looking to other counties across Michigan to see, hey, well, what are you guys doing?
Right. So at this point, do we have any sort of timeline going forward?
Definitely not a secure timeline yet, but we know March 12th, there's going to be a study session. Okay. They're going to bring back the consultant that was hired for the opioid epidemic task force. She's going to come back, hopefully present some of those findings that the task force had recommended back during the summer. Maybe in this time it'll be a little more eloquent way, or in the way that they actually wanted to present that information in the first place.
And I know this is a story that we have been following since the beginning, and I'm sure, Allie, you will probably continue to follow this and bring us any updates. So thanks so much for your great reporting and for joining us on Unscripted. But switching gears here, we have a story out of Otsego County to share with you. So there is a couple who's calling for better ORV enforcement after months of snowmobiles using their lawn as a shortcut between trails. Now, this all came to head on Sunday when a snowmobile actually went through their fence. So UpNorthLive's Daniel Zivian talked with the couple in Elmira and has the full story for you.
And he's even been standing out there when they come right by and just pretend that you're not even there.
The approved trail out of Gaylord won't take you directly to Elmira, instead looping south and west into Antrim County, then finally north. But if you're in a hurry, what's the harm in taking empty back roads?
The snow has been so deep, it's been like 3-4 feet deep on both sides of the driveway. So when they hit that and go down into the driveway, it's almost like they try to jump it. And then it just makes a mess of the driveway.
Bill and Pamela were used to occasional snowmobiles, but say the extra snow brought in a lot more. And it's gone beyond riding within the right-of-way. On Sunday, the Wyatts discovered their broken split rail fence.
Pieces of it all the way over onto the neighbor's property. Just, it splintered the fence, it knocked down the corner post. And we have solar lights on all of the split rail fence, and of course it wrecked all of that too.
Bill says they've alerted law enforcement, but the drive-bys haven't stopped, leaving patrol duties up to the family cat, Bella. Above all, the Wyatts are worried someone will get hurt.
If the snow's real high, the fence is buried, and they're going to hit it, not realizing that's even there. And just stay off of people's property so you don't get hurt.
That was Daniel Zivian reporting. Well, we all know how pricey eggs are these days. 12 eggs at the store. Yep, as you can imagine, as you know, getting pretty pricey. Imagine 12,000 eggs, how much that would be. Well, a northern Michigan farmer just announced they are actually going to give away 12,000 eggs over the course of the next 3 months. Now, there is a catch, but over time, there's a pretty good chance that an awful lot of you watching right now could go home with some free eggs. Mark Schlett has this story.
Almost everyone eats eggs. They're delicious. They're expensive.
In a day and age when chances are you don't have a ton of eggs in your fridge, because let's face it, they're really expensive, Adam Weinrich may be the exception.
As of today, we have 384 chickens. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have 1,000.
Hundreds of happy chickens producing an awful lot of delicious eggs.
When they get it from us, they'll realize, hey, this tastes better.
6 years ago, Adam walked away from his first career.
Worked on Wall Street for almost 20 years. I had some kids and finally got some sense and decided that was no way to live. So I returned home to start a farm.
And after an awful lot of work, the farm, named after his kids, Annabelle, Veronica, and Henry, is hitting its stride and at a place where they can start to give back.
To be at the point where we can actually begin to thank the others, thanks to folks that have made it work and hopefully will keep us going is really satisfying.
Thanks is coming in the form of one of the things they do best.
This seemed like a good time to give our eggs to people who we think deserve it.
After talking it over with his family and his crew, they've decided to pass along a few of their eggs as a thank you to those who work hard but don't get a lot of recognition for it.
Well, our aim is to give away 1,000 dozen over the next 3 months.
Yep, 1,000 dozen.
12,000 eggs.
Once a week, a different group of unrecognized heroes can swing by and grab a carton, no charge.
So next Wednesday, we ask anyone that's plow snow for a living in the winter to stop on by. So they just pull up to the store on our farm at 6211 Secor Road. We've got a small farm store tucked off the road, and they just roll up and, either show up with a plow or bring a pay stub, and we'll give you a dozen eggs, no question asked, and we think you'll enjoy it.
The following Wednesday,
March 19th, anyone that delivers mail, packages, parcels for a living.
March 26th, contractors, trades, and repair folk. April 2nd, single parents, and so on for the next 3 months.
It's not much, but it was what we can do.
Wednesday afternoons, a show of gratitude, a dozen eggs at a time.
We wanted to thank people in the community that work hard just to keep the place running.
And the first free egg giveaway will take place next Wednesday, March 12th for snowplow drivers, and then every Wednesday after that for different deserving groups. For more details on the schedule, head to our website, UpNorthLive.com. Let's take a quick look at our question of the day related to Mark's story. So with the price of eggs, has that impacted the way you have purchased eggs? Scan the QR code on your screen right now. That will take you to our website where you can vote. You can also just head to our website, UpNorthLive.com, and vote, and we will take a look at the results at the end of our show. But let's take a quick commercial break. Joe will have much more in your forecast for the rest of the week, and he mentioned you might want an umbrella tomorrow. He'll have more details coming up next.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Sounds like it's time for us to dust off the old rain boots, rain coat, and umbrella because we have a lot of rain heading our way. For more on that, let's turn things over to Joe. And Joe, when can we start to see this rain?
Well, some areas in the next hour or two starting to roll in. And the thing is tonight, you might think, well, it'll get cold, it's winter, but not really. So what does fall tonight for the most part should stay just as rain, and that'll carry over through tomorrow. That's a look around the north, and again, getting kind of dark now, especially up there at Whitefish Point. That's an area way up there where we may just deal with more snow. Far northern portions of the area there, north of Newberry, north of Paradise. But you can see kind of foggy in spots, kind of a dreary evening around northern Michigan. So here's what's going on tonight. We have a big area of low pressure in Missouri near Joplin. That's going to track right toward us, with snow on the colder back edge of this, but we are on the front side of the system, so it's going to stay warm enough with the south wind for the most part for mainly rain for our area. Here's a look at radar with the low kind of penciled in there. Way down south, you can see a tornado watch, that red box, in parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana tonight. Back home, here's a look at rain, and you can see this starting to fill in right now. And it's kind of hard to see, but there is, I was going to point it out here, there is some thunder and lightning in central Wisconsin. So actually kind of our first maybe spring storms over in some areas there. Here's what we should see tonight. Now look at the temperatures by morning. They just don't drop much. We stay in the 30s and 40s, close to freezing around Newberry. There's tomorrow afternoon. Again, that's why that area may see some snow way up north, because you'll be near or below freezing. But the rest of the area, we look at the 50s in spots tomorrow afternoon, and then everybody will see a switch over to snow tomorrow night. And it's going to be windy, and the roads are going to ice up. Right there. That's tomorrow night. Colder weather starts working into early on our Thursday. Here comes the rain. Let's take a look. You can see that. Snow mixing in, that purple up in the UP tomorrow morning into the afternoon. And then our low passes by, and then the cold air works in behind that. It's going to be a little messy tomorrow night, kind of slippery on the roads before a lot of that snow comes to an end. The heavy snow, watch Marquette. Yeah, up there. You can see up to 2 feet of snow in parts of northern, west central portions of the UP, back in that region. Locally for us, here's a look at snowfall. You know, you got to get north of Newberry to get much. Because again, we're going to be, rather, on the warmer side of this system. There's a look ahead, extended forecast. It does look pretty quiet once we get past tomorrow. Could see a few snow showers in the UP Thursday, 20s for the most part, a few snow showers in the UP Sunday, but no big storm systems. One other thing, look a week from now, next Tuesday, some spots back near 50 degrees. There are signs next week we're going to start warming right back up again the middle of next week, Maya.
But do you think that is going to last?
Well, it is March, so probably not completely, but we'll see. But it is going to warm up next week once again.
All right, thanks so much, Joe. Let's take another quick break, but Sports Director Harrison Beebe will have a look at all the top sports stories coming up in just a couple of minutes. Boys regionals are in full swing across northern Michigan, and sports director Harrison Beebe has a preview of all the basketball matchups.
We've reached the midway point of the high school basketball postseason's regional semifinals, tipping off tonight with regional championships up for grabs on Thursday. Cadillac and Marquette meeting up in a regional semifinal in Division I. We were hoping this would be the Titans, but Marquette spoiled that party by defeating TC West in their building on Saturday, so it'll be the Vikings and the Sentinels tipping off. In fact, they're in action right now at a neutral site in Gaylord. We go over to Division II. We have a few area teams in action. Boyne City and Kingsford meeting up on one side of the bracket, while Ludington and Standish Sterling are on the south end of that regional, with the winners meeting up in Gaylord on Thursday. To Division III, Glen Lake and Harbor Springs, they played in the regular season. That went the way of the Lakers. Could Harbor Springs throw the Lakers an upset in the regional semifinal? We'll find out at that neutral site in Elk Rapids. And at the regional in Lake City, we know McBain and Pine River are playing for the third time this season as the two Highland Conference rivals meet again. The winner could potentially play Beale City from the Highland Conference for the regional championship if the Aggies get by Lincoln Alcona in their regional semifinal. And to Division IV teams, we start in the UP. That's where Brimley and Pickford are squaring off. The Panthers, a top 10 ranked team in D4. The other half of that regional, Harbor Light Christian goes up against Rogers City. Heading south to the McBain NMC regional, that's where Bel Air and Maiwasable are meeting up in one regional semifinal. And then in the other half of that bracket, a great contest between Traverse City Christian and Marion for the right to go to the regional final for later in the week. And also down in the Mount Pleasant Sacred Heart Regional, we know Pentwater is involved. They're taking on Muskegon Heights Academy. Well, all the talk in March is about the March Madness for basketball. We know Michigan State hockey having a phenomenal season in East Lansing. They were co-Big Ten regular season champions with Minnesota, the first time that's ever happened in Big Ten history. But the Spartans get the tiebreaker to be the number one overall seed for the Big Ten hockey tournament that gets started later in the week, although Michigan State won't have to drop a puck for their semifinal matchup until March 15th. That'll do it for sports. I'm Harrison Beebe.
Thanks so much, Harrison. Let's take one last commercial break, but coming up in just a couple of minutes, we're going to look at our live results for our question of the day and read some of your comments. Stay with us.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
With the price of eggs, have your buying habits changed? You can see the live results on your screen right now. Looks like 53% say they are buying about the same amount of eggs. But looking at some of your comments on our live stream, Mark says he's buying about the same. Linda says we buy the same amount from local farm stands. His prices only raised 50 cents. Moving over to Facebook, Denise says I only buy from local farmers and haven't changed my buying habits. Cheryl says not yet. Our local store is selling a dozen large eggs for $3.99. Let us know what store that is. And she also says my son is getting chickens again to prepare for even higher prices. Becky says I don't buy eggs anymore. You can still join the conversation on our Facebook page, but that is all the time we have tonight for Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock tonight.